everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Soup Bowl. I am your host, Renee Murdoch, and I am so happy that you are here today, that you are liking, that you are sharing, that you're doing all of these great and wonderful things with me, that you are going on this life journey with me, and I am so glad to be going on it with you. Why? Because we were never meant to do life alone. Never meant to do life alone. You don't have to be out there on an island by yourself. You need to join in the community of people to grow, to learn, to share, to cry with, to laugh with, to dance with, to sing with, right, and to tell stories with, and experience life with. You don't have to do this alone. You do not have to do this alone. Hey, I encourage you to like, to share, and to subscribe so you know when the next time that new episodes are dropping. My whole goal is to ensure that new episodes drop each Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the goal. However, things happen. Life happens. And I'm not going to beat myself up about it if it does not happen. So you don't be coming for me if it don't happen either, okay? I'm going to give you grace. Give me grace, okay? That's all I'm asking is just some grace. And I'm going to extend that same grace to you. I said that's my goal, right? Every Monday at 2 p.m. dropping. Hey, if you want to chat it up, talk it up, want to send some topics in, I do welcome them. You can contact me at mosaic.com. Again, that is www.4mosaic.com, and I hope to be hearing from you soon. Also, if you feel like, hey, this is someone that might, do well with someone that I know that's looking for a coach, and please send that information off to them as well. So what are we going to get in today in the Soup Bowl? We do know that life gets messy when we get in the Soup Bowl. Life gets messy, right? And so we know that in life, it will humble you if you're doing it right. And because so many times we think that we know the way and we have no clue what the way is. And so I admonish you to not be prideful in a thing, but submit to a thing, right? Like you're like, oh man, I didn't know that, right? There's this person that I tend to talk to when I'm going to work every day, and they always, seem to share some things that I had no clue. And it's enjoyable, right? Because when I get done talking to this person, I actually go Google these things, and so just to find out more information. But I do think it's really nice to find out fun facts about certain things or certain people that came before we came, or why something, got built, or what's the history behind it. I think these things are so fantastic. Like when I go on a trip somewhere, my goal is to always go somewhere that I've never been before, especially when I go hiking. If I go to a new area, a new country, I want to hike in that particular place, right? But also I want to go out into, the economy. I don't want to stay within the confines of the resort or whatever the case may be, but I want to be out, right, with the community of people, with the culture of things. And so I like to read when I pass by certain buildings or certain parks. I want to read the plaques. Right? What is this place called? Why is it here? If I'm still looking for that information and it's not there, then I go to my friend Google and just kind of see what it's about, because there's a reason for everything. There's always a backstory when it comes to certain things. And I was saying this in one of my reviews, performance reviews. I said, one of my weaknesses in this particular area is I need to gain more knowledge of the history of a thing. So it will help me in going forward in a thing with making decisions, making plans, making, preparations to move forward in this particular assignment. And that goes with anything. Sometimes we want to forget about the past and we just want to focus on the future. But we really need to know the past to help us understand why things are the way they are. How did we get here? Why is this thing that lingers here? If there's people still apart or attached to this, there is a reason why. And so if you don't understand that reason, right, and then you try to make plans and decisions, they may not go off well because you need the buy-in from other people that were there before you got there. And so you need to hear their heart, right? You need to make sure you honor what they have done, and make sure that they understand that you're here to move things forward and not to harm them in any kind of way. I think a lot of times that we forget about, there was some technical difficulties. I don't know if it's because of the storm, but more than likely it probably is. But we're back. So like I was saying, that, you know, we tend to forget about the past and want to move forward in making plans and not honoring and respecting the individuals that did something before we got there, or we're all the way on the other side of the scale and we're still living in the past and we don't want to change things to move forward. So it hinders progress. So both things are hindering progress. We don't honor the past, or we're still stuck in the past and we're not willing to move forward. We feel as though moving forward into the future is going to harm us, right? We feel as though if we honor the past, that it's going to hinder us from making progress before, or we're like, I don't even know why they did things like that before. That's just so idiotic. And so you give no reverence and no honor to something that if it did not happen, you would not be here today. You would not be here today if it was not for the past. We must honor the past, even if it hurt us, even if it harmed us. We must honor the past. We are who we are because of the past. Has it killed you, right? If you're still here, no, it has not. But someone must have had died for you to get to where you are. Someone had to make the sacrifice to get to where you are. And so I want to honor this particular session. Didn't know I was going this way, but I felt led to go this way. I want to honor this session to my mother, who is no longer here with me today. And, she would always say these things, which I still think you should not be saying. But, you're going to miss me when I'm dead and gone, right? You're going to miss me when I'm dead and gone. I'll be like, yes, of course I'm going to miss you, because you're going to be dead and you're going to be gone. And so I am going to miss you. But I just remember, my mother would talk about her mother in a certain way. And then, I would hear my uncle be like, okay, that's her, her story with the whole thing. But that wasn't my experience. But it's okay. That's her relationship with her mother. I don't feel the same way. But she would just give so much honor right to her mother. And when I would hear the stories about the things that her mother did, I'm like, how could you, honor your mother? And she did all these things, right? And so my mother would always be like, well, she knew that she loved us. And then she, would hear the stories of her past and would bring about understanding of why she was the way she was, right? And so I feel the same way when it comes to, my mother, right? Like, we don't always understand the things that our parents went through, the things that our grandparents went through, our great-great-grandparents. And maybe it's not your grandparents, but the generation before you. We truly don't understand what they went through. We can read. We can, look at videos. We can, listen to stories, but we weren't there. Right? We don't really, because we didn't experience it. We did not experience it, so we don't really have close proximity to really understand what they went through and why they made the decisions that they made. With the knowledge that we have now, and the understanding that we have now about life, about relaxing, about resting, about taking care of ourselves, work-life balance, psychological safety, right? All of these things that we have information about and that we are aware of, how to take care of our bodies, right? How to prevent, early detection of breast cancer, early detection of diabetes, and how to take care of this body that we've been given. They didn't have all that knowledge back then, all that information back then, right? Someone was doing research. Someone was positioning themselves to find the answer to make it better for us in this day and age. So we cannot forget about the things that were done in the past to help us move forward in our future. We can't only look at the present and then go from there. No, we must look at the past and honor those who paved the way before us. I would say, I'm not going to treat my child. I mean, it was to the point where I didn't even want to have kids to begin with anyway. I was just like, look, I can't have no kids. I don't want them being a burden, because I felt like we were a burden to a certain, to a certain point with my mother, because it just seemed like everything was just so hard and so challenging. But as I got older, I come to realize, like, yes, it is hard, it is challenging, and this is life. But at the same time, there's decisions that are being made that maybe this is the reason why we are in the situation that we are. And so I need to find out the keys of life so I do not make these decisions to put myself in these situations. I need to be better, not just because I need to be like, oh yeah, I'm better than you, but no, I need to be better so I can show, one, that the sacrifices that you made were worth it. They were worth it. The long driving, the long hours, the 2 and 3 jobs, they were worth it. They paid off. Even the decisions that was made that weren't not so great, and the financial decisions, but me going out reading and understanding some more about money and how it's not evil, but it can work for you. It paid off, right? Looking at how the work and the life balance was not there. How do I get this? How do I do that? And still learning to this day, or listening to the words of my mother saying, you need to slow down. I used to do that. You need to slow down. Your body can only take so much. I get it now. I get it. And so I'm paying honor to the past. I'm paying honor to even when I didn't understand, right? I think I was talking to this person, and they were talking about, menopause and their spouse going through menopause and all these type of things and whatever. And again, we have all this information about it. No one's ashamed to talk about it now. But back then, you didn't talk about those type of things. You didn't talk about your cycle. You didn't talk about, how you were feeling in the inside. You didn't talk about, going through depression and anxiety and how you were feeling about having children and how your body was changing. You did not talk about these things. So what were people doing? They were suffering in silence. And no longer should we be suffering in silence anymore. You have the right to speak up and to speak out. And not only that, but to grab more information from other people who have went through those things to help you go through them now. But anyway, so they were talking about, them going through these things. And of course, I've listened to other people that have gone on before me. It seems that I tend to, most people that I talk to are older than me or whatever. So I'm listening and like, okay, I don't want to say it, but if I have to go through this, then I know the signs to look for. Oh, I need to go read up about this. I need to make sure that, you try to get your hormones in check, whatever the case may be. But then it dawned on me a few years ago. I mean, a bit more years than that, but I think, as you're learning, you're going to like, this is what was happening then. This is what was, and I think that there's a reason why I decided to live in forgiveness when it came to my mother, because I had made a choice. It's like, do I want a relationship, or do I want to stand in a place of always wishing and hoping that I had a mother-daughter relationship? Because when I became an adult, it really was up to me. It was no longer, you have to do this. No, it was a choice, whether I wanted to be in relationship with her or not. And as I made the choice, I started to unravel, as they would say, or peel back the onions of her life. And I was saying this, at a time, where we were doing a celebration of life, and we were talking, and I was just like, she wasn't just my mother, she was my friend, right? And so there was a point where the age where most women will start to go through menopause. My mother was going through it, in her late 20s. What? And when you think about that, it was like late 20s, 30s, right? Or early 30s, right? This time span or whatever. And so can you imagine, being a child and you're dealing with that, then it's a single parent and they're working 2 or 3 jobs at a time. It just depends what was happening during that time. And I literally thought my mother was crazy. Like, I was afraid of her to a certain point. If I said something, if I was looking like I was going to say something, or you about to get it, you know what I'm saying? Or I would try to not be too involved with my siblings when they were doing something out the way that I knew that, we about to get in trouble for this. I don't want any part of this. Deuces, I'll see you guys later, right? And so there were times I'm laughing. Of course, I'm laughing because I'm reminiscing in my head about certain situations. But yeah. So I really thought, I was like, this lady is crazy. She's crazy. But no, she was just going through there was just a lot of hormones, going through. It's almost like when you're going through menopause, almost like you're going back through puberty. When you think about it, right? So I'm not going through it, but I'm just saying, I feel like that's, you're just all wacky. You're just all over the place, right? And so no one knows whether you're up, whether you're down, whether no one knows. And so it's just kind of like, we don't know what we're going to get today. We don't know what we're going to get in this moment, right? So it used to be like, you walking around trying to see what is going on. But I am very grateful for this woman. This woman, really showed me about servitude. She showed me about being involved in your community. She showed me, how to honor people and how to be an asset to them versus a liability. She showed me, how to gather people together. And not only that, but she also showed me how to be free in yourself. Like, she would go, around our place, no matter where we lived, and she would just, sing openly, right? She wasn't like the quiet, I'm going to sing this song, but she would sing openly, right? In the apartment, in the house, in the car, when we were out, and she would sing all the time. And not only that, but she would cheer you on all the time. She will embarrass you all the time. So whether she was cheering you on, whether she was disciplining you, whatever it was, people knew, right, that this woman, and those were her children over there. So whether you were getting disciplined or whether, they was, snatching you up out of something, it was just like, what? But this is, these are the things, that she taught me and I was able to glean from. and not even realizing that, oh, because people are like, oh, you look like your mother, or I really don't think I like my mother. Like, they never really said that, but I'm saying like, oh, oh, that's something that your mother would do, or something like that. But us siblings, we would say that to each other, like, oh yeah, mom would do something like that, or you're doing what mom would do. And so you don't really realize some of those things that you take on, whether they are good, whether they are bad, but we take on the things from the people from our past. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you were not in the vicinity of what someone was going through, you don't really have anything right to really measure it to. You don't. So when we go out here and we're, trying to establish something new, whether it be a family, whether it be a business, whether it be, your ministry, whether you're, doing a book, whether you're doing a podcast, whether you're, whatever that is, that thing that you're doing, we must honor the past. We must honor those who came before us, because we do not know and would not know what we do know if it was not for them. The very first person that decided to make a device that we are all using to this day, some type of computer device, you didn't know. And you wouldn't know what you know right now if they didn't create it. If somebody wasn't willing to sacrifice, if someone wasn't willing to be like, you know what, I know my parents want me to go to school. I know they do. But I can't go to school and do this thing that's in my heart that I need to fulfill. I need to get this out. I need to spend hours in my basement and drawing this out and taking parts and putting together, because I see something. And I know that it's there. I just need to get it out of my head, and I needed to get it into some type of object, and so that it manifests and other people can use it. I know that it exists. So we must honor the past. We must honor it. To really respect the present and to really move forward. If someone didn't respect the computer of old age, this big old box of, tons of weight being built, then we wouldn't have these. Right? We got this from having this. So yeah, we must honor the past. And that comes a lot from me, because I would be like, especially when I would get into a place and I'm starting off new, and I'm just wanting to go, because I can see what needs to get done. I can see where we need to go. And although that is a great thing and you want someone on your team like that, you also need someone on your team that's like, hold up a second. Don't forget about this. Don't forget that we got a group of people over here that can't use the stairs. They can only use a ramp. Don't forget about the people over here because they're not old enough to get in. Don't forget that, this particular thing right here only gives us 6 hours, right? But before we used to only have 2. But let me tell you how we got to 6. We must respect the past. We must honor it. And then we must also honor those who can see the future, because they're going to help you get there if you yield yourself to it. And those of you that are already in the future, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to hold up. You're going to have to slow your pace down a bit to get an understanding and get some more clarity on what happened before. See, I'm talking to myself. I'm not just talking to you, but I'm talking to myself. because I can go. I can go and I'll just be gone. But that's why I always keep reminding myself, you were never meant to do life alone. There are times where it seems as though you're going to go through a thing, right, alone, right, because we steal away. Sometimes, we have to steal away. And the Lord will place us in positions where, he needs us to be in a place, centered or whatever, that he can speak with us and deal with us. But in reality, you're still really not out here doing life alone. You're not. So you feel like, oh, you're just by yourself. Is it a choice that you're really making to do this by yourself? Or do you want to invite people to go along with you? I think I'm saying this, in two ways, because I can see how we are behind the times of where we actually should be at. And it's not so much of because we're not, respecting the past, right? I believe that's part of it. But I also feel like we're fearful. See, people don't want to use the word fear. I ain't fear. I ain't afraid of nothing. Nah, that ain't me. But no, for real, I really believe that we're fearful of launching out into deep things. We're really fearful of being successful. I realized this, with my mother, like she would, great mind would come up with great ideals, whatever the case may be, and would start a thing and then get to a certain point, whatever. And I'm like, oh, you didn't finish. You didn't finish. You got to finish what you started. But not only that, but not be afraid to fail and not be afraid to succeed. And I think that that's where we are at as a society. We are afraid. We really are. If we were not afraid, then we would not put stipulations on how we do work. We would not say, you need to do 80 hours or you need to do 40 hours a week. And then that's what we're saying is really resulting into a person that has put in good work or whatever, for that week, 40 hours. If we were not afraid. So we need to be in some type of control to control the system, right? To keep people in a certain place. But if we really want to expand ourselves, if we really want to grow, if we really want to go forth and be this great nation that I know that we are supposed to be, that we started out to be, then we got to change our view on how we do things and how we see things. We got to have to launch out. Can I get the same quality of work from someone in 28 hours versus 48 hours? Or 32 hours versus 40? Can I? I believe you can. I believe you can. Because you can't tell me that somebody is literally working 8 hours every single day that they go into that place of work. They're not. You're not. CEO, manager, senior executive, you're not. I'm sorry, you're not. I'm breaking the news to everybody right now. You're not doing it. Really. Think about it for a second. Are you being productive? A full 8 hours every single day. Okay. We're just going to leave that right here. Because we need to stop being fearful. And stop trying to control the narrative. Because every time we try to control the narrative, it don't go over well. It does not go over well. And so then we got to come back and we got to do something else totally different. There's just a lot of stories and scenarios just running through my mind right now. But we're gonna wrap this up. But I truly believe that if we honor the past and we respect the present, that we can go forward in greatness. as individuals, as a family, as a community, and as a nation. We can we can be a great nation. A nation that is prosperous, a nation that sets the standard for all things. Come on now. We can set the standard. But we must come from a place of stop trying to control the narrative. All right, that is all that we have for today. We must wrap this up. But hey, we're out here doing life together, and I appreciate it. So do know that leading is teachable. Until next time, peace.